Hello, my name is Andrea Pena, and I'm going to be presenting on the psychological aspects of high school girls cross country. Okay, so high school girls cross country, the reason why I chose this specific population is because cross country is known to be not only a physically demanding sport, but also a very mentally demanding sport. It is also something that I am quite familiar with. I ran not necessarily cross country, but I ran track and field in high school and I ran a bit in college as well. And I've participated in cross country, not competitively, but just for endurance purposes. And also, the team is currently in season, so it was really easy to connect with the high school team near me and work with them in between practices and races. Okay, so what affects my population? There are a few factors that can affect a population and their motivation to continue into the sport or maybe not. That includes the physical environment, social environment, and family culture. So with the physical environment, there are some factors like longer, challenging running trails that can factor into how an athlete feels while running. Weather can be an issue. In California, the weather tends to be pretty dry and hot, and cross country is during that summer transition into fall phase, and so the weather does tend to be pretty brutal around this time. Improper training gear can also lead to injuries within primarily female runners. So female runners are actually more prone to injury. And within social environment, athletes can deal with peer pressure to compete or to not compete in sports. This is especially true with high school athletes. Social environment is super huge in a high school setting. There's also the coach-athlete relationship. So essentially how the coach fosters a more positive or motivating environment. We also have team culture, so we have team bonding, whether or not a team is able to kind of bond a lot better than other teams. We have runners from rival schools, so an athlete can be influenced or maybe de-influenced by rival runners. And then we also have anxiety and depression. So female athletes are 2 times more likely to develop anxiety and depression from sports due to social environment and also injuries. And then we also have family culture. So family can definitely influence a population, depending on whether or not you come from an athletic family, how invested parents are in their athletes, and the mindset that parents have within their athletes. For example, if they encourage their athlete to play to have fun or to play to win. So we have 4 bullet points that can specifically affect a population, one of them being motivation. So within motivation, we have extrinsic motivation, which are outside factors that we can't really control. An extrinsic motivation that my athletes have to join the sport is that it's easy and it's inexpensive to join the sport. Most other sports require a lot of equipment, and with running you just require a decent pair of running shoes. And then we have intrinsic motivation, which is going to be what they want internally in order to keep them motivated within the sport, such as college scholarships, the want to win, and team bonding. And then we have stress that can affect a population. So within high school sports, as mentioned before, we have academic and even social stresses that can affect whether or not these athletes perform well or decide not to perform at all. We also have mental stress during races, so cross country is a very mentally demanding sport, which requires basically being very determined throughout the whole race. So your mentality is everything when running these races solo. However, running has also been shown to alleviate stress. So running has been shown to not only decrease anxiety, but increase mood and also increase motivation. Then we have the desire to compete. So being a part of a team is huge. Being competitive is another thing. Coming from a competitive background or being competitive in general definitely will increase that desire to compete. Wanting an athletic scholarship is another thing. Athletes who are in high school have that mentality that they're going to be going on into college, and an athletic scholarship can mean better future for them. We also have coaches who create a positive environment within their team, so keeping their team motivated, excited to play or excited to run, and excited to compete. We also have task-oriented goals. So having these goals, task-oriented goals, that are not only achievable but difficult to a certain extent, can definitely keep this population of high school girls wanting to continue to compete. And then we have the need for feedback. So with feedback, we have instructional feedback, which is when a coach relays information back to an athlete, depending on how their performance went or how their practice went, or how they want them to maybe do better next time or what they did great this time. Motivational feedback is can also be given from a coach, but more than likely it's given from peers, parents, teammates. And then we also have reinforcement after wins, which are, with my population specifically, the team was often rewarded with pizza or donuts after a great race, which will make the girls want to continue to win if they want these gifts, essentially. Okay, so for the goals, we had some 2 outcome goals, which are, one of them was to place at the Sunkist League Finals as a team, and the other one was to, for a specific freshman athlete who wants a scholarship for Cal State Fullerton. Then for our performance goals, we have a freshman on the team who would like to reduce her best 3-mile time from 20:51 to under 20:30. Then as a team, we would like the girls to have more consistent mile times during races. For the process goals, we want to keep the knees driving high throughout the race, especially when tired or when there are hills during a race. And then we want to also have a faster finish, or working on their kick at the end of the workouts and races. Okay, so some goal strategies that we have with those specific goals. So for placing at league finals, we've decided that we want to make sure that the girls are consistently training and incorporating plyometrics into their workouts in order to strengthen and to build endurance with their muscles and their legs. For the athletic scholarship to Cal State Fullerton, we want that athlete to be weightlifting 2 times a week. This is because the athlete is fairly new, she's a freshman, and we want to not only increase her endurance with running, but also strengthen her muscles in her legs. For the performance goals, for the 3-mile going from 20:51 to sub 20:30, we want her to be paced with a person on a bicycle. So this is because she is consistently one of the faster runners on our team, and so we want to be able to pace her with something that's faster than her. For the consistent mile times in races, we want to contribute 2 tempo runs per week, plus 1 run with negative splits. This is to make sure that their mile times are pretty consistent throughout the race, rather than starting off fast and then ending slow. For the process goal, for high knees, we want to incorporate high knee drills with every single warm-up. This should essentially drill into the athlete the importance of keeping the knees high. And then for incorporating a faster kick at the end of the races, we're going to be doing sprint drills twice a week. One of the sprint drills is going to be incorporating hill sprints. And all of these goals can be met with proper feedback. This increases their commitment to the team, which then improves their overall performance as an athlete. So for biblical tie-in, there were two verses that stuck out to me. One of them is Colossians 2:23. This is, "And whatever you do, do it heartily as to the Lord and not to men." This reminded me a lot of intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. So rather than letting outside factors kind of influence the reason why you're doing it, use the reason of doing it towards to the Lord and for His glory to be your reason behind your motivation in whatever it is in life, whether that be athletics or just being an important member in the church. Another verse that stood out to me is 1 Thessalonians 5:11. This one is, "Therefore encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing." This one's huge with encouragement and support. So encouragement and support helps increase overall performance and motivation. So this is, again, not only contributing to athletics, but academics, life in general, and also just being a great fellow Christian to anyone in the church, anyone outside of the church, just using that encouragement to keep people moving forward, to keep people on task, and to keep people motivated throughout whatever performance they are performing. So something that stood out to me while learning this is how important self-efficacy is when improving performance in general. This is talked about in the social cognitive theory, but yes, it's extremely vital to have a great sense of competence, to have a great sense of self-worth, and to continue to improve that and increase that in athletes, as this is shown to have a direct correlation to performance. So you could be practicing as much as you want, but if you don't have that self-efficacy portion, you're not going to perform as well as you possibly or potentially could. And then we have, I also wanted to learn the difference between motivation in girls and boys at the high school level. So with the girls, a lot of them were drawn a lot to team bonding and the social construct of it. I can only assume boys are also tied into that as well, but I wonder if there's a difference when it comes to maybe competitiveness or just the drive to win. And that is the end of my presentation.